Well, today we have some products from Uniquely Creative, and they are called Vintage Chronicles, and there is also an album, so we have something special. And here is just an example of what I've created to share with you, so please come play with us. Well, let me just tell you what's in this collection. So as always, we start with the papers. There are 32 sheets. You can see that they're 6 by 6. They are single-sided, and there are 16 designs. You get 2 of each, and that's going to be the base. This is the vellum. Now, they call them creative cuts. These are on vellum, and that just offers a wonderful design opportunity. Then we also have just more traditional die cuts. These are on a heavyweight cardstock, and then this is the album. The album will be the last project that I'm going to show you. So let's get started, and we're actually going to start with the first card that I showed you. And what I do when I start with a new collection is I just lay out all the papers, and I choose kind of my favorites that I want to use. And generally, that's what I end up using, but every now and again, something surprises me. And this is one of the papers that I thought, wow, I really have to do something with it, but what will that be? And in this collection, the backgrounds tend to be kind of this blue, also brown, as well as tan, brown as well as gray. So that's kind of what goes on. And obviously this spoke to me of, I want to cut this out and lift it up. That's exactly what I did. So to begin with, I did cut 1/4 inch off the top of this, and then I trimmed it down to fit on my 6.5 by 5 inch card. And this is 6 inches by 4.5 inches, and that gives me a nice white border. And because there is white in the artwork, that's exactly what I wanted to do. But as you can see, I added some other things like here and down here, as well as the greeting. But first, I wanted to do something special with it. Like I said, cut around that wing. So I put my sheet onto a self-healing cutting mat, and I took the pen, our pen knife, and as I just did it, this has a very sharp blade. It's sharper and thinner than anything else I've seen. So when you press on the button, it gives you the pen. And then I just went right around the edge, just like so, just all the way around it. I didn't bother with the antenna, didn't bother with the flowers, just the wing. And then what's nice is then you just pop that back, and it retracts the blade, and then you're not going to cut yourself, which is very, very important. So I had the piece then trimmed, and then that piece was cut. And then I wanted to decide, okay, what color am I going to use to do the shading on it? And this is what I do. I have just a white piece of scrap paper, and I put some shades of the same kind of color on it. Now, in this case, I was going with the tans, the grays, as well as the brown. And I did, so it just gives me a chance. Like Dove Gray is a gray, but boy, it was so light, I didn't think it would show up. Concrete was so dark, I just wasn't sure for it. So I ended up with the Velvet Fawn, and that is what I used, and that is what you can see. So it really brought out the browns in the area as opposed to the grays. So that just worked fine. And as I have shared with you, just in case you missed it, what I have found is that when I take my blending brush and just kind of flick it from the edge of the paper, I get this very soft, narrow edge, and I'm really happy with that. So I just want to share that with you, of course, because don't want to have any secrets from you. And so when I put this back on my card, I did not put any glue under here because I've got foam tape. So that's just lifted a bit. The other thing I did is that when I had cut it, I slipped a piece of just scrap paper under it so that I did ink the edge of that wing. It further lets it separate from the background, even though the artwork is already, you know, it's got a green edge. It just felt like the inking just gave it a little bit more separation. It was exactly what I wanted. So this is a tip. I use this all the time and keep them, so that works well. The other thing I did, as you can see, is I added some of these vellum creative cuts, and they are wonderful. And let me just show you. So this is not the same one, but it'll work just fine. And all I did was slip my fingernail between the layer of the backing and the art. And you know, when you want to do this on camera, it generally goes not completely as easy as it did when you had it at home. So I'm just going to do this and lift it. Okay, there is a piece of plastic on the back, and all you do is pull it. Now it kind of curls, but don't worry about that. Now now again, my paper was inked and it was on my card. So this is just a demo of how the vellum is. So it will curl like that. I wouldn't let that worry you. And now this was lifted, so I kind of slid this underneath, and I think I'll just do it down here so it looks better. And you can just go like this. Just like so. And as I have shared in a different webisode, if that isn't the placement you go, you know, nah, I don't think I like that. I'd like it a little bit closer. I'd like it a little bit further away. You can lift this off. Now it's going to curl a little bit more, but you can still control it. And you can just place it kind of wherever you want, just like that. Okay? So that's going to work nicely. So having that cut and lifted, then that allowed me to put one of the flowers and then two of the leaf stems down here. And I just felt like that did a nice job of finishing the art. Then I needed words, and I used the We're Together. Now, this collection has gold, silver, black, and white. Oh, no, it doesn't. It has gold, silver, white, and brown. So brown was perfect. And it has the dazzles in a long script and also stacked. So I didn't use friend. I did use hello, friend, right here. And just lifted that. Again, I use my retractable blade, my pen knife, to just lift them off and then position it, because you just want to make sure that you get it straight. And those are connected, so that's nice too. So that completed the front of the card. Now for the inside of the card, I used this sheet. And this sheet has, like the other one, it has some brown and some kind of blue tan over here, so brown and the kind of gray. And I did trim it down and glued it in place. Now in this case, first time I brought in the die cuts, and the die cuts are in this package, and there's a ton of them. You get two of each. In fact, on the back, let's get in really close just so you can see that. Okay, well, maybe, okay. But you get two of each of those. And I did use some of the words. I did use a lot of the other pieces. And you can see that this one is one of the creative cuts that I use. This and this are the vellum. So just really nice. So you can place this down and then kind of glue that part, then lift it and put that vellum, and then that vellum is obviously right there. So I wanted to keep the same color combinations going, so I wanted to have that splash of orange as I did on the front, on the inside, so that worked nicely. I did ink it exactly as the front with Velvet Fawn. Thinking of You is from the same We're Together dazzles, just larger because my graphic was smaller, so that let that work nicely. So that's my first card, and that worked well. Okay, let's go to my second. And in my second card, I did more collage. So there you go. So a lot going on here. I did find that I needed a solid. So I did the trick that I shared with you an earlier webisode of going onto the website and just looking at what the collection of solids is and printing it out so that I could look at my papers and see what was going to work. And in this case, newsprint florals worked very nicely. So you can see that there's the colors that I've been talking about that I kind of showed you on the first one, and have used those. Now I'm going to end up using the greens as well as the kind of the burgundy colors. So that's what's going to be happening. But in this case, I'm using my 5 by 6.5 inch card. And because my papers are 6 inches, and I chose to use this one, and I wanted just a background that wasn't going to be too prominent, you know, kind of the opposite of that butterfly, because I wanted to put some of these die cut pieces, and you can see I used a lot of them. So that was my goal. And I really just laid out all of the die cuts and just had them next to me so that I could pick and choose. I did the same thing with the vellum pieces. And in this case, having that green on the, you know, covering the card with green, and then cutting this piece, trimming it down to fit the 5-inch width, and then inking it again with velvet fawn. That's going to take care of my base. Then what am I going to do? Well, in the set of die cuts, there are frames. And I just thought framing one of the vellum pieces would be perfect. Now, when you put the vellum on the card, it gets a little bit lighter. And that's true with kind of rub-ons also. So I wanted to have this piece really colorful and strong, so I didn't remove the backing. I instead just glued it to the front of my card, and I wanted to position the frame first so that I knew where to put this. So those two things were going on. So simply glued this down, and then foam taped the large frame around it. So you can see that those die cuts are really nice sizes. So that worked well. And you can see that this is pretty close to the fold right there. So then I just started playing with them to see what I thought would work. And in this case, I wanted to do a couple of edges of the frame. So this is one of the die cuts. In fact, well, you can kind of, it's not the same one, but you kind of can see it away from anything else. And there's also some tiny pieces in the die cuts, and I really like tucking something under. So this is glued here, but foam taped here, and then this is just glued under. Now the key, I thought, was just fun to have it going down. Now again, you get 2 of each of these pieces, so you can kind of be, when you're using it one time or when you see what I've done, then you can kind of figure out what you want to do, which is nice. So again, glued here, foam tape down here. I'll tell it to you now, but I did it actually at the very end. I did add that little white bow and zod it in place, and this is out of our white ribbon set. And what I love about this is there's so many different widths and designs on it. So this clear piece, this sheer piece, just worked nicely because I didn't want to call too much attention, but I just wanted to kind of finish it, and that worked nicely. Now up here, I do have vellum underneath, and that's this spray, as you can see. This is also vellum, and I did the same thing. I did not remove the backing. Instead, I used our friend, the extra sticky tape, and simply put it behind the body, lifted the wings, kind of like we do with the acetate, and positioned it right there. And so that just, you know, in my mind, I like the symmetry of this, and it was fine for me to leave this corner empty and to have just these 3 corners. I did want some words, so I went to our set of tiny words and phrases, and they're just tons in here, and you get them in multiple colors, which works nicely. And I thought the happy thoughts, being small, worked well. And you know, when I first saw these, I thought there's going to be some people who go, why would I have something that tiny? Well, this is why. Because I've got a lot going on, but I still wanted to have a greeting. And that just fit perfectly. So, and because it is, in this case, it is I think this is brown. Yes, it is. Black, white, gold, silver, and brown. It worked very, very nicely. So it's strong enough that you're going to see it, but it's not too strong that it's taking anything away from any of the other pieces. So that worked well. Now for the inside, this is the piece that I saw, this paper, and I really wanted to do something with this. And so because I used one of the frames on the front, I thought, well, let's use one of the frames on the inside. Why not? So I trimmed this down, and this is 3 inches by 4 inches, but as you know, I've written the directions down below, so you can just look at the card and click on it, and you'll have all of those measurements. Did the same thing. First positioned it on the inside of the card, but the first thing I did, actually, do you see that strip? It's kind of faint, but it is a piece of what I cut off from the front, because remember, this is 6 by 6, but my card is 5 inches. So by golly, I had an inch left. Well, you know, don't stick it in that little piece that you have of bits and pieces. Let's use it and put it smack down the middle. But my card is 6.5 inches. So I cut it in half and glued the top there and the bottom there so that it would span that whole card. Okay, so we just make it look like what it's doing. So it's covering that. Glued this down, and then again foam taped the frame on top of it. Now in this case, these 2 are die cuts. So I've got this little lace piece and then this heart, and I just glued them one underneath the other. This is also a die cut, and I just love the arch of a corner. So that cluster, notice this is an uneven number. It's 3 pieces, which you usually want an uneven number when you're working with things. It's just more pleasing to our eye. Now the Cherish Every Moment, that is on another piece, and it's this one. And actually, I'm going to be using some of these pieces on another card, but right now the Cherish Every Moment, and I didn't ink anything. I just cut it and foam taped it. No, I just glued it down at the bottom. So Cherish on one line, Every Moment on the other, which I thought played well with the walkway. This being wider, like the walkway is wider here, a little bit narrower right there, and then I didn't put anything else going. But I thought that worked nicely. And again, I have taken up a lot of this space, so if you wanted to write a message, you've got room right there. Okay, so that's card number 2. Now let's go to card number 3. And this is an easel card, and I did some pondering on this card, but let me show you how it works. As you know, I'm sure, there is a fold on the front, halfway through, and then this is going to be held up with a piece that's foam taped on the inside. So I have kind of a collage on the inside and then this on the front. And I did again use the newsprint floral solid cardstock. So this is going to be used actually on this card and then the next 2 projects too. So I wanted to have an easel. And with this, you do take your card, and this is again 5 by 6.5. You want to measure 2.5 inches and then score it. And with this, you can have a very large piece on the front, but you always have a little bit showing. So going into the solid cardstock, I did use this piece being the dark green, and I played with it as to what I wanted to do with the whole piece. So I did take this, it is this piece with the lace, and it's turned sideways. So you see the lace and the flowers right there. That's kind of different, isn't it? Well, I trimmed it down. It's still the 6 inches, and that gave me space, and then I could, you know, kind of mess with it. Well, the first thing I did was to mat it onto the green newsprint floral. And then these words, "You are wonderful," that was part of the die cuts. And there's also some other words. There's family, fabulous, happy, all kinds of very strong words, I mean, very large graphics. And I just thought that was really kind of fun to have on the front. Now, the bird and the butterfly are part of the vellums, so that worked nicely. 2 of these are part of the die cuts, but one is a cutout. So they do have a couple of sheets like this where you can go in and what's called fussy cutting. I kind of hate that term, only because cutting is cutting. I do use the 4.5 inch professional scissors. They are a godsend. They are just absolutely great to use, just to make that super easy. And you can see that 2 of these are foam taped and 1 is glued down straight. Now, there is some of the vellum right there. So the paper, as you might remember, is empty. Again, this is one of the gray backgrounds. And so I did, you know, kind of add to it. So I wanted to get some orange because I wanted that orange to show. And then the "You are wonderful," those are all flat. The only thing that's foam taped are those 2 little die cut flowers, and then those 2. So again, I've got orange here, here, and here. It's creating, you know, this triangle of color, which is another thing that's nice in designing. Now, the other thing that I played with is, what did I want to do up here? So what I did was I went with, you can see on the back of the dark green is light green. So I simply cut a piece and glued it to the upper part, and then just put these vellum pieces here. And I only positioned them so that they would show behind this area. Now, I kept a piece of the green to show you this. I could have kept those same vellum pieces and extended this green to go up here. And that might have been a little bit more uniform. And afterwards, I think I kind of like that better. But this is what I did in the moment, is I made it light green. So it's a little more that you can tell that it's 2 different pieces. So, you know, again, as always, you get to choose what you want. Now for the inside, remember this piece that had the cherish every moment? Well, it also has these kind of wonderful tags. And when I first saw them, I thought, wow, I'd like to cut them out and then cut them out as one piece and score here and then accordion fold them. But you've got something that's going horizontally and then vertically, and probably vertically also. So I ended up just cutting them apart. But I wanted to use them. Okay. So I put that burgundy color also out of here and let that be my background. Then I played with this was going to be my backing, my base. So best wishes for today, tomorrow, and forever. I thought that was a wonderful comment. So that I positioned here. Didn't glue it yet. And then I cut these 2 out, put one here and one there, tuck this one underneath. Then I went into the die cuts and just played with them. So this is kind of like a Viewmaster piece, the clock, and the lantern. This is vellum. This is vellum. So I did add those two pieces because there was room. And so you just kind of mess with it, you know, kind of like if you were doing a grouping of pieces on a wall in your home. At least that's what I do. Put everything on the floor and mess with it until it works. And so I was really pleased with that. I liked having the tall and going down on the sizes. I liked having curve in there. Even though you can't really see that, it makes a nice base for my little bird to land right there on the edge of the best wishes, and the clock in the center of it. So I was pleased with that. No inking on this one. And that ended that one. I've got two more projects for you. Okay, this is going to use the Celebrate the Little Things. Yes, I really like that. So I wanted to use it. And in this case, I'm using this paper. And like the last one, it's got some lace on it. In fact, it may be the same one. Nope, it's a little bit different. But it felt to me like that would be a really nice, it would give me room to do some playing. So I cut this to size and then matted it on that same rusty burgundy and glued it to my card front. And this is a mixture of the vellum pieces as well as the die cuts. So they're both kind of die cuts, but let's just call them vellum and die cuts. And I think you can see that what I ended up doing is placing everything that I wanted and then gluing it down or removing the backing, and that way it was just easier. The butterfly was probably last because I needed to get this positioned. So this is going to go in among whatever pieces I have. So this big piece of vellum is going to go here. Then I lifted it up to get these two pieces in. And I think earlier you saw, yes, this is a heart piece. And then this one has got some filigree on it. This is the clock that I just did in the last card. And like I said, there are two of each pieces. So you can really see that clock. And there's kind of a lighter brown one. So I've got vellum here. I've got vellum on top. Then I lifted up and glued these two pieces under it and placed it back down. The Celebrate, you see I let that overlap a little bit. I just wanted to visually connect things so that they're not isolated. That way your eye kind of knows where to go. And what I have been told is that we're not aware of it, but we kind of see things in a Z. So our eye kind of goes like this. And you can see that's what I've done, is that this is connecting, these three are connecting in that line. It just looks right. So, but that's why it looks right. Now over here, I've got just nothing actually, because that's just the art. But I've got the butterfly, this piece, and then this collage of 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces. Okay, but you can still see that gray background. Now inside, I took this piece, which is again the brown and the gray, interesting, and trimmed it down. And I took another of the vellum pieces and used it in our trusty 4-inch paper doilies because it just adds that feminine look. Now in this case, I wasn't concerned about showing the orange because there isn't much of it, but I didn't want to overpower that soft, soft blue. So that's why I played with the white doily, because it's not going to overpower it, it's going to support it. I didn't do any inking. So positioning this down first, then the vellum on top. Again, I didn't, let me see. I did remove the backing. So my fear was unfounded. It didn't go too light when you remove the backing. This is also the vellum, but this frame is one of the die cuts. That's another of the key. That's the second key. I didn't put the ribbon on it this time. This is another of the die cuts glued here, foam taped there. The Keep Smiling, that was on one of the other sheets of cutouts. And yeah, Keep Shining. Yeah, there it is. So I really did cut up this sheet, didn't I? And the bird is, this time it's not vellum, it's a die cut. So that's the only more colorful thing, but it is a more subtle color. This is showing up, but there's some colors like that in the flowers. And you can see how this pokes out of my backing paper. That pokes out, that pokes out. I like that. I think that's a good look. So that finishes this card. I hope you're liking the cards. I had a good time. Now, the last thing that I wanted to show you, and Tracy, the owner, shared with me at the trade show that she has used this when she has taught classes for card making. And what she does is she lets people make their cards and then put them into here. So I thought that was kind of fun. So we do have these. It is an accordion one, and I've got this one undone. And I did a piece that I have not glued to the front. And I'm just going to undo my knotted piece that is attached to the album. So that's kind of a neat piece, isn't it? Now, in this, it is, oh, what does it measure? Oh, goodness. Well, it's obviously larger than 5 by 6.5. So it's probably 6 inches. In fact, as a matter of fact, aha. Well, let's find out, Paulette. Yes, it's 6 inches wide, and it looks to be like about 7.5 inches tall. That's nice. So I took the one of the board pieces and glued it onto a piece of the newsprint florals solid cardstock in the green. And I could have done either color. I chose the green just because I thought it would be a nice kind of evergreen sort of looking piece. And again, just did more of a collage. So this really speaks for collage. Again, I use the blender brush and the velvet fawn on the edges and simply glued it in place. So that's my 6 by 6. Then this piece, now there's a lot of cutouts. There are several sheets like this with a lot of pieces. Remember, I used this one? Well, in this case, I used this one. And you don't have to drive yourself crazy cutting this out. Now, obviously, I did not cut around those teeny tiny flowers. You know, let's not go be excessive on this. At least I didn't. You can do whatever you want. Nor did I do those pieces that are falling down, those ferns. So I just cut whatever I wanted to, just right around the edge, and glued that in place. I thought that was kind of fun, kind of peeking in. And then this is my second doily out of my die cuts. And this, and this are the vellum pieces. You can tell I really like them. Now, again, I wanted to make sure that I had some orange showing in the pieces that I attached, because I've got orange here. So this is a light kind of a salmon color, but this vellum is more orange. I've got more orange on my bird, and the green plays well with the backing. And again, that little piece, remember I had that on the first card? I didn't have it on the first card. I had it on the second card. That little piece poking up from my die cut. Well, now this one is poking up from my vellum. And the You're Doing Great, well, you know, that's going to be on here. Now, I really thought about this. What kind of message did I want on this? And I thought the You're Doing Great would be a really nice thing if you were working on this, a nice affirmation to see as you were picking it up and maybe adding pages or cards to it. So I decided to leave that. The vellum is kind of going around it. It's surrounding it and overlapping just the edge of it. So that's a nice piece. Again, everything is visually and physically connected. So that worked out well. So I'm going to take this off. See, that's what I did. And just show you what this looks like when it's naked. And it just opens up like this. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It says 8, I think. Yeah, 8 pages, but that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But there's really 16 pages because you've got the other side. But then you've also got these two. So you've got 16, 17, 18 pages. And as I said, what she had told me is that she will have people do a card and just place it in and let it be there for them as they are getting ready to maybe, well, to do her classes. And I thought that was really kind of neat. So you're doing great seemed to be a perfect affirmation. I just slipped these through. Oh, by the way, these are attached. How they go, you don't need that. They go through grommets in the back and comes out here. There's 2 pieces. They are together. And I just slipped them in and then kind of slipped it through like that and let it hang down. So you can do whatever you want. They've got a pretty little bow that they tied on the one in the package. So there you go. So a lot you can do. I just wanted to show you also, these are the vellum pieces that I had left. Whoops. I had all of these left and I did 5 projects and I had all of these left on the die cuts. And I didn't use any of the letters. And I've got all of these words plus the ones that I showed you earlier. So lots of stuff left, which I always appreciate. So Uniquely Creative, I think, has done it again. I'm very pleased to have found them at the trade show. Let me get all these extra pieces away. So Vintage Chronicles is the 6x6. The same thing with the creative cuts and the vellum. And now you can see the accordion album. I hope you like that. I didn't buy a ton of them, but we do have them. And so that's what we have. That's Paulette Plays Paper Play today. I do, like I said, there are instructions down below on every single one of the 5 projects. If you are watching us on YouTube, I hope you will do a comment, let us know what you think, and head on over to paperwishes.com. All of these are together in a money saver on the right side of your screen, and this is really a really nice thing for me to do, and I hope that you are having a good time with me, because I'm you know, it's nice to put a reason to why you do, because very often we just do it instinctively, but to give you a verbal, but here's why, is helpful, and I hope that you are enjoying that. I hope that you will join us again, and I want to thank you for being absolutely the very best part of paperwishes.com. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.